patterns were put in place growth of our economy and to ensure the technological growth of our economy. We have technological development measures. We have seen an increased share of value-added sectors. We have seen an increased share of value-added sectors, technological independence, and a progress towards the technological leadership national project is instrumental, and its implementation will continue as a priority. Project is instrumental. We are currently working on 3 strategies. 2 have been approved by the government. We are currently working on AI and the one on strategies. 2 have been approved by the government. The one on AI and the one on unmanned aircraft systems mentioned in your introductory remarks. The third strategy that you mentioned in your introductory remarks, that covers all the sectors, is we've had a strategic one that covers all the sectors to discuss that program. We've had a strategic session to discuss that program. We are developing a platform economy document and measures to support consumer demand. Creative industries will increase their share to 6%, and we are already seeing progress against these targets. A structural transformation of foreign trade is another area. And one of the key components here is reorienting exports to friendly countries. And last year and this year, the share of friendly countries in foreign trade was 84%, with a continued growth of settlements in national currencies, with 89% of such payments conducted in national currencies. There is a positive trend in the growth of non-energy and non-commodity exports, and measures to support Russian companies in key countries and the various customs and tax mechanisms have been useful. And this year we have launched a system to confirm the so-called spot system to control for to provide additional controls around foreign trade. And the draft law has been prepared. Additional structural changes to ensure the balanced social and economic development of the regions were prepared to reduce the debt burden of the regions, improve the efficiency of utilization of their material base. Infrastructure is a priority. All of these measures under this category must ensure a sustainable growth trajectory. So I propose that these approaches are supported and put in place. Well, thank you. Yes, I believe that these measures will help the decriminalization of the economy, and that the first steps have been made, that the spot system is becoming effective and already showing the first results. Now, let's talk about balancing regional budgets. Mr. Silvanov, please. Thank you, Mr. President, colleagues. And this year, budget execution is as planned. Regional budgetary revenues have grown to over 13 trillion rubles. Income tax revenue has grown. It's the key component, a growth over 10%. And we're seeing this growth in 87 regions. Income tax has grown by 6% in 51 regions. regions, and we also saw additional growth in other categories. Spending has grown in compensation and social support. Now the budgetary surplus, there was a budgetary surplus in 36 regions. As to public debt, it has been reduced by 115 billion rubles. This is not a high level, and we believe that this is a controlled level that is manageable. Budgetary loans are also an area where we're seeing good statistics. 76 regions have used these as a mechanism. Considerable resources are being used to support SMO veterans and families. Over 300 billion rubles. We also saw the modernization of housing and utilities as a key category. And the market debt of the regions was reduced by 60 billion ruble. 43 regions do not have market debt. Another 4 regions have a debt of less than 10% of their revenue. We are closely working with those who have burden, first of all, in commercial loans. We are supporting these regions, providing the financial support and also requiring them to balance their budgets. Now, as to the objectives we're setting for the regions this year, we see that the regions' spending plans are on the increase. Social spending is growing. We have worked with the regions to adopt sustainability programs for regional finance that aim to prioritize spending categories, raise additional resources, and to control budgetary deficits. All the regions have prepared programs to increase their financial stability. The additional impact on the budgetary balance from these programs is 580 billion rubles. The Russian government is actively engaged in providing various kinds of support to the regions. Budgetary loans to subsidize regions, whether the extra funds being used to support SMO veterans and their families. Treasury loans are being used more actively, not for a period of 6 or 12 months, but to close at the cash gap over a period of 1 month, and close to that. This will soon be available to all of the regions. Now, a flexible use of budgets, budgetary subsidies is another topic that we're prioritizing. We're supporting regions that are in a difficult financial situation. Until the end of the year, we will allocate subsidies totaling over 100 billion rubles. These aim to ensure that their obligations are met and that their debt levels are not surpassing the safe levels. Support measures for regional budgets are a variety of measures for the short and mid-term periods. Now, the current volume of support is insufficient, as we believe that the budgets must take this into account when shaping their 3-year budgets. Your instruction to postpone the payoff periods for regions from the 2027 date to 2030, 2029 and 2030 will allow us to have additional resources for the regions. 300 billion rubles will be available additionally, and these funds will be used to address the various tasks, including those related to the special military operation. Regions with a high level of debt will benefit from stability and sustainability interventions. We also propose decisions to support border regions that currently have to face additional costs in responding to the current hostile situation. Now, we will keep working with the regions to shape their financial plans in a way that ensures the regional financial stability and the full performance of their obligations. Thank you. Thank you. Now let's move on. Let's talk about the sociological objectives for the regions. Mr. President, in accordance with your decree, we have 7 national development goals until 2030 and 2036. Every specific results. This includes building schools and roads. Only in 2026, we have over 2,000 such activities planned. And every one of those is put into a set of indicators and figures that we can monitor in close to real time through a digital system so that we can have an overview of the completion rates of all of the projects under the national development goals. This digital governance system is what allows us to manage all of these 2,000 projects that we're currently implementing. This also allows us to see the risks that exist for a given project so that we don't have to wait until the deadline is not met, so that we can be proactive. So in essence, we have set up a system that allows us to have an overview of the progress across the country and to act proactive, ensuring a high implementation discipline. Based on the first 6 months, we're seeing a high level of discipline. We can say that people are benefiting from this performance, that concrete results are being delivered.
And we need to understand what people think about this performance at your instructions. We have regular opinion polls since late 2025, and a system of polling people on national goals means that we use opinion polls to learn feedback from the people in terms of what they think about the performance of the state. We have 32 indicators, including the accessibility of housing, the satisfaction with the transport opportunities, social services, and so on. We carry out these polls every quarter, and we report this to the Presidential Executive Office, and we use the obtained data to draw for the top performing regions, and we have a specific track for reporting the worst performing regions. Over the past 3 quarters, there are about 10 regions across the country that face challenges. This shows that people can be dissatisfied with transport, with healthcare, with other aspects, but there is a common problem, and today we analyzed all the causes. There are 4 main groups of what affects the way view our performance on the national goals. The first is the lack of information. People not always know about the support measures and about the positive effect that can be achieved. Sometimes they fail to understand that the specific project has yielded positive results. Then there is a lack of personnel, teachers, doctors, and other specialists. Third is poor process management. There are delays and other issues. And fourth, the lack of resources, primarily financial resources, higher prices, and the lack of lending opportunities. And there are also infrastructure challenges in terms of communications and utilities infrastructure. And all these reasons, we work on them with the regions, and specifically with every region, we have a system for engagement. Whenever we see any red flags, we instantly draw up a list of initiatives to address these challenges. As of today, we have about 1,500 specific initiatives that we're carrying out based on the opinion polls that were carried out and in response to the feedback that we received from the people. And these measures have been quite effective, and in a certain number of indicators, we already see some positive trends, and this is the effect of these opinion polls in the Kemerovo region. The satisfaction with social services improved already. We see in Mordovia, in Tomsk region, the satisfaction with public transit improved as well, and so on and so forth. So this is a very important source of information. I'm talking about the opinion polls because it shows whether we're performing well, and this enables us to understand what people need and what are their concerns. We have been working with the state council commissions and the executive office, the presidential executive office, to improve the methodology in order to have more precision and to have a better understanding what's wrong and what are the matters of concern for our people. And there is a lot of volatility right now, since the way people respond from one quarter to another can vary greatly by 20%, but this forces us to try to understand what causes this. All the governors are part of this effort. We are working on the ground, and in every Russian region we have regional project offices that work on all the feedback we received from the people. This is not just about these opinion surveys. Apart from these surveys, we also receive feedback from the e-government services portal and from regional e-government services portals. This adds to our insights, and we also have other feedback sources like QR codes on all the facilities that are created as part of the national project, so people can use these QR codes to submit their submissions and their feedback. And this is a permanent effort. There's a project office at the federal level and it is tracking all the efforts and solutions. In conclusions, I would like to point out that ministers have been instructed to take into consideration these opinion polls in their work and in planning their trips around the country. So this provides a framework for adopting government decisions. Thank you so much. Thank you. The People's Front monitors the situation, and I would like to ask its head to report on these outcomes. Mr. Putin, at your instructions, the People's Front has been working on this agenda. Regional governments have done a great deal, but there are still some shortcomings, and I would like to highlight some of them. In terms of the goal of enabling all people to fulfill their potential, we have a survey for doctors and teachers who have been saying that they have too much paperwork. They have spent a fourth of their time every week on reporting every year about.
When creativity and AI merge, every gap is gracefully bridged. Subprojects, dual timeline editing, source and timeline preview editing, and your favorite features. Filmora gives you the freedom to immerse fully in your craft. Wondershare Filmora, powered by AI. Edit as an expert.
But this effort showed that we can streamline many processes and to remove a lot of paperwork, and we can scale on these practices just by stopping requiring documents that are publicly available in information system. We are here a lot about the lack of resources. We had a survey for various municipalities in terms of people who work with people, local government officials, doctors, teachers. 275,000 jobs, vacancies are needed to be filled. So we need to improve labor efficiency, and we need to investment. We need to revise internal reports to have more automation and to use AI-based tools. And in terms of performance assessment, we need to make sure that people spend less time on reporting. We have a national goals to improve the well-being and health of the people. We are working with the government and the regions to improve the situation for families with many children in terms of buying airplane tickets and children pay less for taxis. There are more cars with child seats, and this is a positive development. Cars are the most accessible transport mean for many families with large children. So car sharing companies will have to offer minivans for families with many children. I am confident, Mr. Putin, that with your support, we can make sure that car sharing becomes another important asset for our families with many children. We need to find a way to offer families with many children to be able to use toll roads for free and not to have to pay for them. We are including this into the regional support measures, and mothers with many children must be able to obtain driver's licenses and to learn to drive for free. We have made a huge leap forward in terms of the digital transformation so that the people do not have to file any hard copies. So we have this great e-government services portal, but there are hybrid services and people are complaining about them. You can apply online, but then you have to bring the documents in paper form. If, for example, when parents of many children, they have to provide various certificates, in hard copy from universities, on scholarships, from banks. The same goes for pensions, especially special pensions and veteran of labor titles and other services. You have to provide hard copy documents. And sometimes people fail to understand why their applications are rejected when these applications are processed online. People still have to go to various offices in order to learn about the reasons. And the third problem is that people have to go to various agencies when their documents are not available from the electronic database. So we need to equate electronic services with services that are provided offline, but we're dealing with interagency cooperation. The state must step in and to be more proactive in helping families with small children and families with many children. When you have a small child and you have to collect all kinds of certificates and papers from various agencies, this is not the way to go. There's a national go on the people-friendly environment, living environment. There is we're receiving more payments for and more people are paying on time for utilities, but there are still problems with heating, with water supply. So people they want to have their dues reassessed, and we need to make sure that this is done effectively. And this is especially true for our new regions where terrorist attacks mean that people do not receive utility services for many months. So people do not have to prove that they were not receiving these services. And people get penalties automatically when they fail to meet payment deadlines, but we need to have more automation whenever there are accidents and people are not receiving the services that are entitled to. The comprehensive list of our proposals will be submitted to the government. We are working under Mr. Medvedev's leadership on the United Russia program, and we will include this all in the program of the party. Thank you so much, colleagues. One of the key objectives, of course, is to deal with the objectives and to deliver on the objectives of the special military operation. And in this connection, we have questions on supporting the families of our military personnel and those who are taking part in the special military operation. And Ms. Civilova has been reporting to me on this topic, and she has been saying that the regions show a lot of responsibility on this matter. There is another matter that deals with our men returning from the line of contact. Once the special military operation is over, they need to have jobs and they will have their ambitions when they return, and this will require us a lot of work from us, and we need to anticipate this. I would like to ask to hear a few words about that.
Mr. President, colleagues, thank you for the opportunity to take part in this major effort to define the future of our country as part of the Strategic Development National Project Council. Our service members and their families are a special category that requires a special attention and special support. This is something we're going to do together. And the Defenders of the Fatherland Foundation and the regional and federal authorities, as well as commercial and non-commercial organizations, have put in place a number of measures to provide additional rehabilitation, retraining, and other kinds of support. Ministries and dedicated teams are working to provide better conditions for special operation veterans so that they can realize their ambitions in diverse areas. Starting last year, the Ministry of Health put in place a program of health checkups that are provided as part of the state guarantees to...
Click a Brain has been completely rebuilt. Meet Brain 2. Now, work is easy. All I have to do is ask what I should do next, and then it does it for me, and it suggests how it should do it. And the best part is, it already has context on my work because it lives inside my work. Now, I can do work from the beach.
Subsidies to those who want to buy houses in rural areas and support programs for beginning farmers. These are the programs that allow our boys, including those who come home with an injury or a disability, to become a part of the nation's vast reserve, provide additional benefits to their people. And one of the veterans, who can serve as an example, received a grant of 4.5 million rubles to acquire a mini tractor and 37 cows of a new breed. His entire family works at the farm, is also a avid sportsman. He has participated in various cups, and he is now studying at a college, and he's planning to create a big agricultural enterprise. And there are tens of thousands of such examples, and these all demonstrate the benefits of this state program. Nearly all of the national projects are defining the key directions of our development fail to mention special operation veterans as a distinct category, and state programs only have partial provisions in terms of indicators to monitor progress for veterans and their families. Only 9 out of 57 such programs have the relevant indicators. We must be prepared for an increased number of veterans who will be coming home tomorrow. So I believe state programs aimed at developing our country must have targeted indicators for veterans and their families. This proposal will not require any additional financing. Now, you may ask, what is the benefit of including individual activities and targeted indicators? This will allow us to target activities better and to assess specific results delivered to that group, and to increase the significance and the prestige of military service.
Mimi nilikubaliana na nyinyi
and to create a
ya kwamba wakati tunajenga Kenya lazima tujenge Narok County.
This is a transition from isolated support measures to a broad-based program that manifests the principle that the state does not leave its own without care. Now, I believe that we could provide input and to make amendments to the legislation together with the Defenders of the Fatherland Foundation. Thank you. Colleagues, do you have anything to add on the topics that we have discussed? Do you have any additional proposals? Okay. No comments. Then we have a list consisting of 3 items. The first is that we must finalize the infrastructural transformation plan until 2030. It has the date of October the 1st, but it doesn't have a responsible official I believe you can sort that out. Then we have monitoring of the targets, the progress against those targets. And the third item is a request that the Russian National Front continues its work to monitor the tasks that have been previously assigned. I think this has to be included somewhere.
On this day, 16 years ago,
Colleagues,
Kenya did not
realize
merely promulgate
how important all of this is. This was a very detailed presentation of the things that have to be done. And of course, it was a formal presentation, but we shouldn't treat it as a formality. There are no points that could be called less important. We must make a full-scale effort to make all of that a reality.
Mwanasheria mkuu hivi sasa akiweza kuandaa katiba hii na kuiweka mahali panapostahiki. Katiba ya Kenya ikiwa ndiyo sheria kuu, ikiwa na sura 18.
And we have Mr. Solanov and Sivilyov. Could you please proceed to the next talk? Thank you. Thank you, please. Colleagues, good afternoon. Today we have a meeting of the Strategic Development National Projects Council. We have members of the government, representatives of the regions, the business circles, and civil society. We will discuss the overall efforts to achieve Russia's national priorities in areas including demography, education, comfortable living environments, technological leadership, and digital transformation. And of course, our national goals include ensuring the stable and progressive development of our economy, achieving a number of targets, and a broad range of sectors. That is what we shall begin with. As the statistics show, we are experiencing moderate but positive dynamics. GDP growth is at about 1% the first 6 months of this year, so 0.6% growth for GDP, and the second quarter brought 1.3%. Obviously, the economic growth is influenced by a number of factors such as external pressures, terrorist attacks on manufacturing and industrial facilities. Obviously, this is something we have to reckon with. This will not stop us, but they are dealing a certain share of harm. Now, we must ensure that we keep increasing our effectiveness and the efficiency of the social and economic efforts. We're currently implementing a number of transformations, improving productivity, creating a job. Separately. The plan for structural transformation was prepared by the government last year, and it covers the period until 2030. As agreed, it must be implemented in an even cadence and being constantly updated considering the economic dynamics and the state of the budgets for our regions and the volume of their debt. We will hear a report on that later on. Now, a key priority is increasing investment activity. From 2019 to 2024, fixed capital investment increased by over 40%, largely due to infrastructural projects and major projects in manufacturing that are mostly export-oriented. This includes chemical industry, metals, mining, oil, gas, and chemistry. Construction has developed at an impressive pace. Regional support measures and mortgage supports were instrumental in that. So-called mega projects have now entered the main stage of their investment cycle. Investment has slowed down, but we are now facing the need to launch new investment cycles, provide investors with opportunities to take part in the development of agriculture and construction, including housing construction, projects that aim to utilize domestic demand to ensure the technological development of every area of life and support the infrastructure of our cities and villages, upgrade urban infrastructure, infrastructure of ports, airports, railways, and roads. Despite the terrorist attacks that I mentioned, our trade and economic infrastructure is stable and effective. Now, certainly, this puts a great deal of pressure on all the stakeholders, but we are carrying out all of these functions effectively. The government has a key role to play in that, and I believe the government must adopt a program to help restore the facilities that are damaged at a new technological level, building out power grids and facilities as a key component, launching new digital services and developing the regions are all leading to an increased consumption. We have investment support programs, including tax breaks, subsidized loans, and others. I believe the government must review all of the measures that are being provided and the measures both at the federal and regional level, work together with the banks and regional associations to fine-tune those tools to provide the best possible impact, increasing productivity, using new technologies, using autonomous systems, industrial robots, artificial intelligence solutions can all be used to address the issues that we're facing, including labor shortages in certain sectors. We must stimulate innovation. This is something we're coming back to time and again. This is something that we must do if we want to achieve real structural transformation of the economy. The social sphere can also benefit from new technologies. We must redouble our efforts here, upgrading actual day-to-day practice of health facilities, schools, resorts, and others. We must use the best practices in every region. Moscow, of course, draws attention, first of all, and we mention it, X-ray diagnostics are improved thanks to new computer technologies. Patients can benefit from faster results. Doctors are getting help with a reduced workload. More patients can be served. At the same time, and this is a good example of how we can improve the productivity of hospitals and outpatient facilities. There are many other examples as well, and such as using telemedicine solutions, using digital assistants and providing services. I saw how this works. I made my trip over the regions. So the government agencies must form breakthrough solution use that will be mandatory for all of the federal projects. And the social departments and agencies must pay additional attention to the digital platforms that are available and that can be developed. They provide a great boost to industry and the economy, but also education and healthcare. We must include these platforms in all of our national projects. And those who are already working in improving our economy, students and professionals in the market must be able to continuously improve their expertise. And this requires us to implement the relevant governance solutions and to provide sectors with mechanisms to adapt workforces. In December last year, we have had a meeting of the State Council that resulted in a program that we approved it jointly with the Sberbank and Russian Academy of Sciences. Now, and not all of the officials involved in the program on paper have been able to pass the required training. So we see that both the attendance rates and the academic performance are below expectation.
Evoto's acne removal, effortless precision with a simple slider. Navigate to blemish removal and select freckles acne. Use the sub-slider to seamlessly remove acne from your photos. Experience a 10x faster editing workflow with Evoto for professional photographers. Evoto, the most efficient AI photo editor.
I would request the administration to review the situation and to take concrete steps to make sure that those who shirk their responsibilities and don't want to participate in the training programs are dealt with accordingly, because you must have ambitions. Please don't treat this as a mere formality. Another thing I wanted to emphasize, up-to-date skills and strong infrastructure are key. And people's feedback allows us to assess how relevant these are. Education, healthcare, sports and cultural organizations can all benefit from feedback collected on the ground. This is a service that we've launched in 39 regions. And I believe that all regions must put in place similar mechanisms and to synchronize them with the digital platforms so that people can use their mobile devices to provide this feedback.
Colleagues, I have said many times that by working together, the state businesses and civil society organizations, they all must work together with a single focus to be consistent in improving the well-being for the people. We have been speaking about this all the time. We need to offer every person in every region opportunities to find a profession, to find a good paying, a well-paying job, to provide for the well-being of their families and to live a comfortable lifestyle. And these changes, these improvements must be visible not only in our reports. People must feel that their lives are becoming better, that they're living better lives. If something goes wrong and people point this out and they have a reason to pointing this out, we have to understand that this is happening and to act at the federal, at the regional, at the grassroots level. We have opinion polls and people can express their opinions on education, healthcare, in terms of public transit and so on in their city, in their district, in their region. They can point to some shortcomings or achievements on the country, and the government must take into account these monitoring surveys, and every minister, every official must work with all these challenges on the ground whenever there are any challenges or issues. And of course, when there are challenges, there is a need for additional efforts or resources. And today we will hear a report from the government and the accounts chamber. In keeping with my instructions, audited our national projects and the performance under these projects, their recommendations and advice, and I hope that they will be taken into consideration and will make their way into the resolutions of the government of the Russian Federation. The federal budget allocates major sums and regions too for national projects, and it is essential that all the objectives as part of the national projects are performed as planned and are well funded. And in this regard, we have to pay special attention to regional budgets. In the first 6 months of this year, the revenue and spending in the regions increased by 5.9%, and the overall deficit is 160 billion rubles, almost like a year ago. By the end of the year, regions expect to spend more, to have higher spending. As proposed by United Russia, we decided to offer regional budgets additional support in order to make sure that they have to pay their deficits, pay back their deficits after 2030, and this will enable regions to keep more money, about 100 billion rubles every year for the next 4 years. So this way, regions will be able to use these funds for development purposes. I suggest that we take another important decision to help regions where the budgeting situation is challenging. They will receive at least 100 billion rubles this year as well. We will discuss how these funds will be distributed and allocated during this meeting. We need to ensure that we have a balanced and sustainable approach to our budget system. I know that there are already discussions and efforts to devise measures for reinforcing regional finances. But we need also unconventional approaches when conventional approaches do not work, when there is deficits and debt, while loans are high above the federal level. This means that regions have to spend a lot on paying back their debt, sometimes about a third of their revenue. And we need to make sure that these regions are not left out to their own devices. We need to have a comprehensive set of support measures in order to ensure that the budgets of regions are balanced and that all these initiatives are tied to their development efforts. And the approach by the finance ministry is quite reasonable. I asked the government to draw up a list of these regions and to suggest relevant measures and to work with the regions to approve programs for improving their financial situation for up to a 5-year term. Having sustainable regional budget is the responsibility of the finance ministry and the federal government. I'm asking you to take this into consideration. Thank you so much for your attention. I would like to give the floor to Alexander Novak. Please go ahead. Mr. Putin, at your instructions, the government drafted and approved a plan for structural changes and amendments until 2030. I would like to report on what has been done and our priorities moving forward. Since 2022, the Russian economy has been facing unprecedented external sanctions pressure, frozen assets and attempts to limit our access to technology and international payments. Despite that, over the past 3 years, Russia's GDP in real term increased by more than 10%, about 3.3% per year, which is above the global average. Russia is the fourth largest economy today by purchasing power parity, and the structure of economic growth has changed. Exports, the share of exports declined, and the economy is now focusing on the domestic market.
Since the year 2018, when it was
get these premium wigs na makeup tools kali za kukuweka on point. Look fiti, bei ni ya mwananchi. Order side.
Processing and manufacturing are the key drivers. It increased to 15%, and processing is exceeding extraction by a factor of 1.5. High value-added products have a bigger share as well in the economy. Taking into consideration the current challenges, our main objective is to have steady economic development model, and this is what the structural improvement plan is all about. It is designed to promote the development of the labor market, investment, technology,